What's up, everybody? It's the HorrorDeconstruction. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, but mostly on YouTube with your host Komp and
Indiana Moans. Do you think that's ever been a porn?
No, but I remember. I can't even tell the joke I wanted to say. All I can say is the punchline is Indiana Loans, and I'll tell you what the joke means.
Oh, I know where you're going with this. Okay.
So today's film is
The Sweet Blood of Jesus, 2014.
The Sweet Blood of Jesus. Dr. Hess Green becomes cursed by a mysterious ancient African artifact and is overwhelmed with a newfound thirst for blood. Oh, this is one of those IMDb things where you have to press hit the full summary.
That was a good summary.
No, but it keeps going on. He, however, is not a vampire. Soon after his transformation, he enters into a dangerous romance with Ganja Hightower that questions the very nature of love, addiction, sex, and status. I think he's a vampire, but I'm not sure.
I mean, well, he's in the sun, so he's not. I guess he's not.
Well, yeah, I guess you're right. It's not a traditional.
But then again, so were the ones in that Twilight thing. They just twinkle or something.
That's true. They do sort of explain where the vampirism from this film comes from. Anyway, the reason why I picked The Sweet Blood of the Jesus, I keep saying the Jesus because it's.
Yeah, I kept thinking that too.
I think it's just the way that the sentencing
of been better.
Yeah, I think so too. But The Sweet Blood of Jesus from 2014 is a film by Spike Lee. It's credited to Spike Lee, but apparently since it is a remake of a 70s African-American horror film called Ganja and Hess, which they obviously kept the name.
I wonder how that movie was.
It's written by Spike Lee, and they say good things about it, so maybe it's better than this one. And Bill Gunn, who actually wrote it, who passed away a while ago, they said that like some of the scenes are so like shot for shot, and the dialogue they gave credit to the original writer because basically, you know.
Oh, he's the original writer for
Bill Gunn, yeah, but he died like years ago. He was the original director and writer, I assume. I'm not sure, but he was the original screenplay writer. Starring Stefan Tyrone Williams, Zara Abrahams, and Rami Malek. If you know who Rami Malek is, he's the manservant in this film. He won the Academy Award for playing this guy from Queen. What is his name? Why am I forgetting the fantastic...
What, Freddie Mercury?
Yes, he's the one who played Freddie Mercury and won the
really?
Best Actor. Yeah, they've criminally underused in this film because he's also the star of Mr. Robot. But I remember seeing the trailer. This is for African American Horror Month, and so far we've done three African American. I think were they also directed by African Americans for horror films? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, all of them are.
So far so good because most of the like African American.
Well, we had one good one bad one. What was? Yeah, it was pretty bad. And then we did Us.
Yes.
Thriller, and now we're doing.
The less said, the better of that one. Now this one is this year. I remember seeing the trailer for this film, obviously around the late 2013.
This is better than Thriller. I suppose.
Oh yeah, by leaps and bounds. I remember seeing the trailer for this film a while back. This is a film that was actually funded via Kickstarter because Spike Lee was like, I won't be able to make a movie like this, or because he obviously wanted to make a movie like this, and he got a lot more creative control about it because they were like, there's no way they would fucking let me remake this film. And I'm sure they would probably have, they probably would have had, like, they're like, sure, Spike, we can remake it. Let's have Bradley Cooper and let's have Taylor Swift as the leads.
He'd be dressed as a raccoon.
Yeah. just have all this stuff. But anyway, so I remember seeing
that's him, right? He does the voice of
he's a Rocket Raccoon.
Rocket Raccoon. Okay.
So I remember seeing the trailer for this obviously in 2013, and it had what hooked me was I was like, okay, it's a horror film by Spike Lee. That's what initially what I heard. I was like, okay, it's about vampires.
So I don't really know Spike Lee.
Right. I
know he's like a huge director. I wanted to see that Klansman movie, but like I never got a chance.
I hear that's really good. But I remember seeing the song in the trailer, which really, really got to me. It's a song by this guy named Govales, and it's called "Doors to Nowhere." They play it, in the party scene when he meets those two white women, and they're talking like they're just droning on about shit. It's that song. If you watch the trailer for this, the trailer is good because of the song, but it's pretty bad because it's like a very badly edited trailer because it just seems to be showing.
But I don't know. I felt like this whole movie
was
kind of like good,
here's the thing.
Music and
I thought this film had a huge promise up till the first hour of it, and then it just went to hell. Like, not that it went to the worst. Not that it turned into the worst movie ever. It's just that you have. It had no sense of time to it in the second half of this film.
It's like 2 hours, and it could have been like a half an hour.
Yeah, because that's the thing with Kickstarter, since now the director has all the he doesn't have to answer to anybody. He
basically but he's a famous director. He should know how to pace movies.
So Spike Lee is a very, I guess he's a controversial director to only like probably angry white people or something like that, because he makes very socially conscious films, and he does it his way. I've only maybe seen a handful of Spike Lee films. The ones I remember seeing is The 25th Hour, which was actually a very good film with Edward Norton in it, and it's about a guy this is like post 9/11, and there's a fantastic monologue scene with a guy who's like saying "fuck you" to the mirror to like every different ethnicity, and then but it's a really good scene. But it's about a guy who's about to go to jail for I think 7 years, and he has to deal with like his relationships. Very good movie, 25th Hour.
I think I saw Crooklyn as a kid.
Okay. And then also, I think I saw another film which disturbed the hell out of me. I think it was, what was it? It was about, let me get to it in a second. Anyway, but he's famous for the films like She's Gotta Have It, which they remade into a series. School Days, which I think was I don't know if it was his first no, She's Gotta Have It is his first film. School Days, Do the Right Thing, obviously was the biggest film that broke him onto the scene of filmmakers.
I never saw that.
Inside Man was...
I feel like an asshole. I have never seen any of this guy's movies.
Inside Man was his most commercial hit, because it was Denzel Washington versus Clive Owen. And he, for some reason, decided to direct the remake of Old Boy, which went nowhere.
What, like the Korean movie?
Yeah, they remade it.
Oh god, it must have been terrible.
They remade it, and I saw some visual stills of it, but there's no reason for me to ever see that film, and I don't know, I think they might have changed. They do trying to say, it's stuck to the manga, which the manga didn't have that twist ending that the movie had, with the daughter and stuff like that. Anyway, so he's been, and then recently he was like he won an Oscar for the screenplay for Black Klansman, which was actually Denzel Washington's son, who's the main actor in that.
I knew that they remade Old Boy, or if I did, I forgot. But that's a terrible idea.
Yeah, it is. And also it was like 6 or 8 years after the original one, so it's like, what's the point of it? I guess because they thought people would forget about it. Anyway, so I remember the funny, because he clearly has directing skills, but I think he's sort of like Stephen King in the sense that he doesn't know how to finish up his films. Like, he's obviously clearly talented, but then like towards the end it always kind of fizzles out. Most of his movies that I've seen, I can't say that because I haven't seen all his films. So
I definitely can't say because
I'm a bit ignorant on his filmmaking. Although I'm very recognizing that he is a very important film director, and that he's actually, even though he works for the most part not really in mainstream films, you can still tell his films have sort of an indie feel to them. Especially this one, like the beginning of the movie.
This definitely had an indie feel, but not in a good way.
I love the opening of the film. The opening of the film, I remember just looking...
the dancing?
Part? I know, and that's like probably the best part of the movie, but I remember seeing just the opening and the ending of this film like a long time ago, and I completely forgot about them, but I remember the dance scene. I was like, damn, that's fucking good. It has nothing
the dancing was cool, but it
has nothing to do with the film. Absolutely nothing. It seems like Spike Lee was like recording something for another movie and then just said, "Fuck it, let me just put this as the opening for it," because it's a really, like, I'm not lying, like, or stressing the fact. I'm stressing the fact that it's a really beautifully done scene of a guy dancing, like,
and in Brooklyn too.
Yeah, and Spike Lee's like famously a Knicks fan. He's been suffering then, I assume, because the Knicks are like the worst basketball team.
I don't know shit.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, all I know is that they suck, and like I don't understand how New York City.
Are they like
you would think in New York
basketball or something?
You would think in New York City we would have fantastic basketball players, but obviously they're either in Los Angeles or Utah or wherever. They're never in New York City for some reason, because we fucking Knicks are horrible. Anyway, but he's a fan of them. Anyway, so. Starts out with this strange sort of disconnected dancing. I enjoy that scene. I love that opening credits because it's so cool, because it's like very chill, very relaxing scene. Then gets into the story of the main character, whose name is
Hess. Dr. Hess Green.
Played by Stephen Tyrone Williams. Very good. I thought he was very good in this movie. I think he's a very good actor.
He's a good actor.
He's a very good actor because he has this very like stoic sort of look to him, like, and the fashion design really good. Like like his hoodie. I was like, holy shit, his hoodie when he was waiting to get tested for HIV. I was like, yo, the clothing was good.
Hoodie.
I mean, it looks like the way, because this is sort of and it's very funny how they pointed out. He's like a black socialite because he's an anthropologist, so he's very rich, and he
lives in Martha's Vineyard.
Right, so that's
which is a place I've always been fascinated by. I've never been there. But
you always hear about that. What is that area in Long Island? Not Martha's Vineyard, the other one.
Montauk.
No, isn't that
Sag Harbor?
No, what's that other really rich where all the wasps go? Like the really rich?
The Hamptons.
The Hamptons. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Isn't Montauk where they did experiments on like psychic people and shit? I'm pretty sure there's a Montauk project.
End.
Yeah,
Montauk is the tail end of Long Island, and it's fun to drive out there. It's like 2 hours, so Long Island is really long.
So Dr. Hesgreen has acquired this arrow. It looks like an arrowhead, or it's a dagger, right? It's like a ceremonial dagger from an African tribe that apparently all the people died from blood loss because they went crazy trying to drink each other's blood. And they just started bloodlust. What surprised me is that they lifted up this ancient artifact without wearing any fucking gloves. That's why I was like, did anybody do any fucking research on how they touch shit like this? Anyway, whatever.
I don't know. For the sake of the movie,
Hesgreen has an assistant. What the hell is that guy's name? He has
Lafayette.
Lafayette, right. So his assistant Lafayette, who is good in this too.
It's the most pretentious name in the world.
Lafayette Hightower.
It sounds like a French gentleman. Like, hello, I'm Lafayette. Oh, that was like a British accent.
This is Danny with the international humor. So, the movie's got me so far. Just the way that it looks and it moves, because it's shot really well.
Yeah, the first 10 minutes are okay.
Yeah, because so Lafayette comes to his house, and there's Dr. Hess's, and I thought there was some sort of homosexual subtext to the film, but I guess I was wrong on that aspect. But because both guys in the home and they're talking like an inches apart from each other. Anyway, so Hess says he's gonna go to sleep. The guy disappears out into the 40 acres, which is referencing clearly 40 acres and a mule, which was supposed to be given to all the freedmen who were slaves by the United States.
Oh, I didn't catch that reference. Okay.
They never got that, but it's also the name of his production company, 40 Acres and a Mule. So obviously, it's something that's very important to him in that sort of sense. And then you hear this sort of inhuman sort of howling in the distance. And I was like, oh, I'm into this. What's this weird shit going on in this fucking movie? Because that right there shows some sort of weird, sinister edge to this film. He sees Lafayette is about to throw himself off of a tree and hang himself. And wisely, Hess is like, if you kill yourself or you wash up in the fucking water, I'm basically the only black guy that lives in this neighborhood. And everybody's going to give me shit. See, the difference between, let's say, the other film that we saw, Thriller, which had politics that they might as well have had like a person, like in the theater, like when they show.
Oh yeah, they would look right at the screen.
Yeah, right. In Thriller, they should have literally had somebody come through the screen. Like they should slit open the screen and have somebody hit you over the head with a fucking with a stick, just so you can get the point. But in this one, like the points about racism and sexism and stuff like that are subtly done, but without feeling like they're talking down to you. They felt more realistic in the sense of, especially Ganja's monologue about being a young girl getting fucked up by her brothers, and her father telling her you're young and black, and that's like a double whammy. So that politics, and he knows how to craft politics in the sense that, obviously in the original, in what the fuck was
that? You had to say don't be a menace in South Central drinking your juice in the hood.
I was going to say that.
That's a great movie.
Wait, what was the film? His first
Anyone
big
who hasn't
film.
Seen that.
What was his first big film? The one with oh Christ! I said the name of the movie.
Well, you keep talking.
His first big movie.
Just shut up, I'm looking. Shut up. She's got to have it, Do the Right Thing.
Do the Right Thing, sorry. Why am I saying don't be a menace? Anyway, so Do the Right Thing, that movie had him. He put himself
in a different dimension.
He put himself in a role where he was having sex with a young Rosie Perez. So, where he put ice on her tits throughout the whole beginning of the film. So,
that sounds great.
I know, could you imagine? I'm going to make myself and Spike Lee's not a good actor. He's like
it must be so awkward to, be in movie sex scenes if you're not wanting to make the other person uncomfortable or whatever.
Apparently not for Spike Lee, because
somebody like shakes my hand and I get a semi-erection.
Apparently for Spike Lee, it wasn't problem enough to write himself having a scene where he's icing up.
He probably had someone else in the role, and then as he's writing, he's like, "Wait a second," and he like writes himself in instead.
I'm waiting for myself to have a sex scene in film. I'll be like this. Oh yeah, here it comes. Ah, that's good. Anyway. So,
here you go.
so Lafayette is about to hang himself, and he brings up this whole issue, and then apparently, I guess Lafayette is bipolar or something. He's untreated because he says I get into some of these moods. Something's wrong with him. Offensive, Danny. Please apologize to the people.
Well, he tried to kill somebody.
So anyway, right. So the next morning he wakes up and an unprompted and for no reason Lafayette tries to kill him, and he ends up stabbing him with that
the magical Ashanti dagger.
That's right, Ashanti. I don't know why I forgot. That reminds me of a very good R&B singer that sort of disappeared.
It reminds me of the Golden People from Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Did they stab people with knives and they became vampires?
I think that main gold lady might be named Ashanti or something.
Oh, probably. So anyway, he is, for all intents and purposes, dead on this thing. The guy goes to the bathroom, brushes his teeth in the tub for some reason.
I'm sorry.
He goes, the guy Lafayette goes in the bathroom, brushes his teeth in the tub, which is very disturbing to me. I don't know why. Mm-hmm. And then he shoots himself through the chest and kills himself. Hess wakes up, promptly drinks his blood. There's a bit of inconsistency with the food stuff here and the blood stuff that didn't make any sense. Because
he can't hold it down, and
right? But at the end, he's eating fruits. He's eating all this shit at the end of the movie, and I'm like, wait, what the fuck just happened? Because he's eating regular food at the end of the
those fruits were filled with blood. You don't know. He might have been sitting there off screen.
He left some of Lafayette's body in the.
Do you know one of the first times I ever tried to get drunk? I was like, I don't know, 12 or something. I took a needle. Like my mom, has diabetes, so I took one of her needles. And I was injecting vodka into jelly beans.
Oof. And where? I'm sorry, you just blanked out. What was that last part? You injected it where?
No, we were injecting jelly beans with vodka, and then trying to eat them, thinking we would get drunk.
This reminds me. I saw some heavy metal video. Like they took a Slayer song, and it was intercut with some religious imagery. It was edited actually really well, and they were showing scenes where I guess these people, if they want to put more semen into their penis, they with a hypodermic needle inject it into their veins of their penis, and that they every time it was a hardcore percussion part, you would just see that
horrible
flipping out of the image. Oof. Anyway, what are we talking about? So this leads Hess into a quest of trying to get more blood. There's a very comical scene where he sets a fire in a doctor's office to steal blood. It's very weird. It's a very strange fucking movie. There's no question.
I enjoyed the scene with the prostitute.
You know what? I was so in love with that lady's accent because it was the weirdest accent I've ever heard in a film. Because I couldn't understand half of what she was saying. Because I think she was obviously a prostitute or streetwalker that was trying to sound classy, but she sounded like an idiot. And I was wondering because he ends up slicing her,
and she's charging insane amounts. I'm sorry, $500.
I know, and come on,
and she had HIV.
I know that she has. Drugs the HIV drugs are pretty expensive, I'm sure. But and that was interesting because I always thought about that. He takes her blood, and plus I don't understand the
What?
I don't get the. I guess it's a supernatural thing, obviously.
Do you think that he could just exclusively eat out women on their period?
Oh God, I remember when I used to read Buffy the Vampire Slayer's fan fiction, and there was a whole story about Angel eating, and I was like, I'm not reading this. There's no way I'm gonna read this. I had enough. God forbid. No offense to obviously women that have periods, but I just can't. Blood.
I don't see what the big deal is.
I know you wouldn't. I know you wouldn't because you're into some weird shit. But
it's not weird. It's natural.
Okay. Yes. Naturally insane. So Hess, I dig the movie. I got into the first hour. I enjoy it, but it seems like when the second hour begins, that's when we're introduced to Ganja. Did he sleep with that?
Honestly, I enjoyed the first half an hour, and then I was like, all right.
Did he hook up with that lady with the child in the first hour, or after he met Ganja? It was after, right? It was right after he met Ganja, because Ganja's intro, she's sort of like this. She's a very.
She's the ex-wife of the
Lafayette. She's a very
crazy guy.
In the beginning, she's a very shrill, fucking annoying character. She's got this British accent that almost sounds like it's phony. So she's looking, and it's like very impossible style of fucking dialogue between them, where she's like, "I'm freezing more tits out here. Can I stay in your house?" And I'm like, "What? Like, what the fuck is like?"
And then she finds out her husband's in a
freezer.
And she's like, "Oh, okay."
She's a real shit. She's a real shithead to like. I thought like Rami Malek's character, the guy, he had a really nice name. I forgot what his name was, but Seneschal Higginbottom. He's Egyptian, but I guess they gave him a white guy's like a weird white guy name. And he's funny. Like they really wasted the potential of his character because like obviously when they got married, and he does that really like bitchy applause, because I think they should have done more, and obviously like no, he gets killed at the end like very unceremoniously.
He's in it for like maybe not even 5 minutes.
Yeah, and but this is before he was famous. Now he's got an Oscar. Do you know what I mean? So like it's weird to see, and I don't understand the science of what I was bringing up. The supernatural angle is like I don't understand the science of people turning into vampires, because like they don't necessarily bite the person. It seems like these people are turning into vampires because they get killed by them. It's not like they're not getting bitten. Do you know what I mean? Like they get their throat slashed or their wrist.
He drank their blood, so maybe
I get it, but the blood's on
the
blood's on the floor. It's not like they're
not
sucking.
Only
the first lady, he sucks her throat, and she turns into a vampire. And she has a very funny line that she says, "You kilted me," which makes me think that she still exists outside because you didn't see anything happen
she exists.
After.
She's walking around killing people.
And also that young girl that he meets on a bench where I guess she like decides to hook up.
And then also his like ex-girlfriend.
Right, that was shitty what he did with the ex-girlfriend, because she seems like a nice lady, and she was ready to do lesbian sex out of nowhere.
Yeah, I was enjoying that actually.
And I figured that was the part of the movie where like,
and I mean that in the most respectful sense. I was appreciating the beauty of love.
It was very good. And that lady is what is her name? She does hair. Like this is her only film that she did. I don't know. Her name is Nate something, Nate. And she has like a hair care products thing now. She's black and Irish because she has a very interesting look to her. And she looks fucking cool as the zombie at the end with the eyes.
Yeah, that was cool.
Because she's basically a black woman with blue eyes. But at the end they like fog out her eyes. I don't know whether those are contact lenses or digital, but she looked fucking like dope at the end. But anyway, apparently in the original version of the film it was a guy. So in this version they changed it to more of a lesbian scene. So I don't know what the point of that was. Not that I had a problem with it. It was a good scene. But also the young woman with the baby, I assume that she turned the baby also into a vampire.
I don't understand why he dies at the end.
He doesn't drink blood anymore. I think I think there's supposed to be some sort of religious aspect of the film, because there is obviously religion in the film.
Well, they do have the word Jesus in the title.
Yes, and he's obviously like a sort of a lost practicing Christian in the film, but you're not really... Yeah. You see him bored at the church in the beginning, or he's just sort of like entranced or something, and then at the end he comes back and they have this sort of very long, and that's where you feel like it's an indie film, because that scene was going on for too long. Although it was a good song, the whole film has a great soundtrack to it, but like they have this long like actual song going on, and he's watching and he decides to, I think what happens is that he gives up being a vampire, deciding not to drink blood anymore. And he stands in front of the shadow of the crucifix, and that's how he dies. I mean,
I guess
there's like weird logic stuff, because vampires have a certain logic to them, and these aren't necessarily traditional vampires.
Really make much sense. And also
these are like.
I mean, the only thing that was vampire about them, besides obviously drinking blood, is that when they get stabbed, they don't get hurt. Like
that's pretty cool. Like he literally shoots himself and nothing happens. Like the bullet doesn't even go through him. But there's some weird logic in the vampire thing here. Like I don't understand, if you don't actually bite the person, how the fuck they get infected. Because like I would understand if your mouth, like say if some parasite that's in your mouth going into the other person. Why is that so funny? What the hell did I say? That's so funny. Dumb. Is it just funny. It's just a stupid conversation. I understand that. But the lady turning her baby into a vampire, I think that's what happened, because she was like, oh, I can't, she was like holding obviously a
doll.
Do
you think that baby will be like Claudia from
yeah, that sucks.
Interview with a Vampire and just like get smarter and smarter and more aware, but still be a baby?
Yeah, but and then also it seems like the second it would, because then you can't even get like a giant boner.
Then you're basically like the baby from Roger Rabbit at that point.
Have you ever seen those people? But I'm sure he's like a cartoon huge dick. He has to. I'm sure of it.
That's true. He does. He definitely does.
But like this film, like what kind of conversations are we having here? But this film, like the time jump is like such a ridiculous podcast. Such a stupid show. The time jumps are weird in this film because they like fall in love.
Time went by.
Yeah, you don't know how many days or months or years passed by between them going on, because it's only. I don't think it was very
long, to be honest.
He met her like a week after Lafayette died. He gets married to her, let's say 2 or 3 weeks after, and then he's like, "I don't want to die without you," and I'm like, "What?" I was like,
it felt like maybe the whole movie was like 2 months.
Right? Yeah, and I was like, "How long was going? What's going on with this movie?"
Unless I missed something, I don't know.
No, there's nothing in the dialogue to show how far shit has gone from one thing to another. Like the girl with the baby that he kills and she turns into a vampire. Like you don't know how long that takes after. Everything's very quick, and like he fucked over his ex-girlfriend for some reason. What was her name? Not Portugal. She has like some weird sort of name.
The one with the blue eyes.
Yeah, and like he just dumps her on the beach and then just gonna bury her alive. Like, what's the point of that? Like, I wish the movie had just followed him, because although I will say,
I wish the movie was
not
45 minutes shorter.
I think the film, I wouldn't say Ganja's character is a complete waste, because it's it's obviously supposed to be a love film, but I don't believe the love between these two characters, because it's so empty, their relationship. And like the only thing that's good is that she has more of a emotional arc with her revelation.
Her name is Tangier Chancellor. These names are super pretentious.
I wonder. Yeah, obviously maybe those came off from the original '70s film, but you got to think in the '70s they probably all smoking.
Seneschal Higginbottom.
That's definitely like supposed to be a white guy's name, but I don't think he died in the original one. That guy, I think he was actually a pastor. His like manservant was a pastor as well. But her monologue about her father, protecting her from her mother, protecting her from her brothers beating her up, like that's cool. Really good. So I don't say her character is a complete waste. So you got to actually see. I
just don't feel like this was even a horror movie.
No, I think it does go into that. What I thought was a better vampire horror film without actually supernatural elements was obviously The Transfiguration. I think that
that's an amazing movie.
Right, I think
that felt like a horror movie.
Right, and that had the same sort of arc as this, but it seems like this just sort of
I think you like that movie more than me, to be honest, but it was still
Transfiguration, I think I do, because I'm like an indie art house weirdo, and I know you are too, but I think I go a little further than you are, but maybe I'm more forgiving.
Aren't you just so special?
I am. Special education.
What do you want to rate this?
I would rate this movie probably a 5 out of 10. A 5 out of 10. Very long, out of nowhere, lesbian shower sequences that wake you up from the rest of the film.
I agree.
And I solely say that because I support the LGBTQ. Is there another letter that's on there that I forget?
There's the whole scene.
The whole scene. I respect it, not in a sensuous way, but in a politically correct way and a very, what's the word? Respectful way. There you go. And what's your rating?
I agree. I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10. Killing a very overpriced, not even worth it prostitute, and then she comes back to life and throws her hair at you.
She was funny. That lady was funny. I forgot what her name was, but she's very funny, and her line was funny.
Yeah, she was good.
So with that, Danny, what's the final word?
Mama, 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 mama.
HorrorDeconstruction.